everyone. Today we are going to solve MCQ Extended of year 2023 Feb March. Substance M is solid at 30 degrees Celsius. The substance is heated to 80 degrees Celsius and its temperature measured as it cools down to room temperature. The cooling curve is shown. So here a cooling curve is shown. Now they are asking between which time is substance M freezing. It is clearly mentioned in the question that at 30 degrees Celsius, the solid M, the substance M is solid at 30 degrees Celsius. So 30 comes between 20 to 40. That is here. So at 30 degrees Celsius, it is solid. It means it is already freezed. Now where it is freezing, so it is between Q and R. So the correct option is B, Q and R. Next, which gas has the fastest rate of diffusion? Now, in this case, first of all, we have to add the atomic masses of all this, add and find out which is having lower molecular mass. After adding all the atomic masses, we get the molar mass of the given compounds here. The one which is having lower molar mass will be the gas which will diffuse faster. So here we can see the lower molar mass we are having is of C2H6, which is 30. So the correct option is B. There are two stable isotopes of bromine. The mass number of isotope 1 is 79. The mass number of isotope 2 is 81. Which statement is correct? The isotopes have the same number of neutrons. The isotopes have different chemical properties. The isotopes have different number of protons. The isotopes have same number of outer electrons. So isotopes are the elements where they have same number of protons but different number of neutrons. So the first statement is wrong. Isotopes have different chemical properties. So again, this is wrong. Isotopes have same chemical properties because they have same number of outer shell electrons. Okay, so the correct option is D. Which statement about ions and ionic bonds is correct? Bromine atom has negatively charged bromide ions. Ionic bonds form between elements in group 7 of the periodic table. Positive ions are formed when atoms lose protons. Potassium iodide contains negatively charged potassium ions. Now, the first option, bromine atoms form negatively charged bromide ions, is correct as bromine is in group 7. It gains one electron and forms Br minus ions. In option 2, ionic bonds are not formed between group 7 elements. It is formed between group 1 and group 7 elements. Positive ions are formed by losing electrons and not protons. Potassium iodide contains negatively potassium ions, which is again wrong. Potassium is a metal, it will have a positive charge. So the correct option is A. Part of the periodic table is shown. Which type of chemical bonding is present in the oxide of F and in the oxide of G? Here we can see that F is present on the left of the periodic table where metals are there, and G is present on the right of periodic table where non-metals are there. So, in case of its oxide, metals will form an ionic bond and non-metals will form a covalent bond. So, the correct answer is C. Element X and Y react to form a product. Element X loses 2 electrons and element Y gains 1 electron. What is the charge on the ions of elements X and Y, and what is the formula of the compound? In the question itself, they have said that X loses 2 electrons. When an element loses electrons, it gains a positive charge. So we have A and B, two options where X is having a positive charge. In this case, formula of the compound. Now, as they have told that Y gains only 1 electron. So we need two Y elements that can gain 2 electrons from X. So the correct formula will be XY2. So the correct option is B. Which statement about graphite explains why it is used as an electrode? It contains ions. It has a giant covalent structure. It is a metal. It has mobile electrons. Now, graphite does not contain ions as it is a covalent structure. It has a giant covalent structure. It is a metal. Graphite is not a metal as it is made up of carbon. It has mobile electrons. So, the moving electrons is responsible for conducting electricity. That is why graphite is used as electrode. Methane CH4 burns in air to form carbon dioxide and water. What is the balanced equation for this reaction? Now, here they have clearly said that it forms CO2 and water. We have to now find out the correct balanced equation for combustion of methane. So the correct option here is B. The equation for the thermal decomposition of sodium hydrogen carbonate is shown. 2NaHCO3 gives Na2CO3 plus H2O plus CO2. The molecular mass of sodium hydrogen carbonate is 84. The molecular mass of sodium carbonate is 106. In an experiment, 2.1 grams of sodium hydrogen carbonate is heated, but not all of it decomposes. All of the carbon dioxide is collected and measured at room temperature and pressure. The total volume of carbon dioxide produced is 0.21 dmq. The volume of 1 mole of a gas at room temperature and pressure is 24 dmq. Which statement is correct? In this case, as they have again stated here that it does not decompose completely. So now we do not know that from 2.1 grams how much amount of sodium hydrogen carbonate has decomposed. But on the other hand, they have given the volume of carbon dioxide produced after decomposition of sodium hydrogen carbonate. As we know the volume, and also they have given the volume of a gas at room temperature and pressure. So we can use this formula of moles is equal to volume upon 24 to find out moles of carbon dioxide. So we have 0.21 moles of carbon dioxide upon 24. We get moles of carbon dioxide, which is 0.00875. Now we will take a ratio of CO2 is to Na2CO3. We have moles of carbon dioxide written and we have to find moles of Na2CO3. The ratio is 1:1 as there is no number written in front of Na2CO3 and CO2. So we will consider 1. After cross multiplying, again it remains same 0.00875 moles of Na2CO3. This moles will be then multiplied by the molar mass of sodium carbonate, which is given already, that is 106. After multiplication, we get 1.33 grams. So B is the correct answer. An electrolysis experiment is done using carbon electrodes. Hydrogen and oxygen are formed at the electrodes. What is the electrolyte? So here two products are already given, that hydrogen and oxygen are formed. Now the options are aqueous copper sulfate, concentrated hydrochloric acid, dilute aqueous sodium chloride, molten potassium oxide. In this case, aqueous copper sulfate, as copper is less reactive than hydrogen, it will form as product. So at cathode we will get copper and at anode we will get oxygen. So A is not the correct answer. In case of concentrated hydrochloric acid, we will get hydrogen and chlorine as the products. In case of dilute sodium chloride, as it is a dilute solution and we are having sodium chloride, as sodium is more reactive than hydrogen. Sodium will stay inside the solution and hydrogen will form the product at cathode. As it is a dilute solution, instead of chlorine, we will get oxygen at anode. So, C is the correct answer. In case of molten potassium oxide, as it is molten, we will get potassium at cathode and oxygen at anode. Concentrated aqueous copper 2 sulfate is electrolyzed using copper electrodes. Which ionic half equation describes the reaction taking place at the cathode? As they have clearly mentioned that concentrated aqueous copper sulfate is electrolyzed using copper electrodes. So we will get copper deposited at cathode. As we know that copper is deposited, so option A and option B are cancelled first of all. In case of C and D, as copper is deposited, it means copper ions gain electrons from cathode and then form copper which is deposited. That is why option D is correct, where the copper cations are gaining electrons to form copper to deposit on the cathode. When powdered sodium carbonate and aqueous ethanoic acid are mixed, the temperature of the mixture falls. Which statement about this reaction is correct? In the question, they have mentioned that the temperature is going to fall. Fall means decrease. When the temperature decreases, it means it is an endothermic reaction. And when it is an endothermic reaction, the delta H value is positive. So the reaction is endothermic and delta H is negative. The reaction is endothermic and the delta H is positive is the correct answer. Magnesium powder reacts with an excess of dilute hydrochloric acid to produce hydrogen gas. Which statement about this reaction are correct? The smaller the particles of magnesium powder, the more slowly the hydrogen is produced, which is wrong. Smaller the particles, faster is the reaction. The higher the temperature, the faster the magnesium powder disappears, which is true. The lower the concentration of dilute HCl, the faster the rate of reaction, which is again wrong. If there is low concentration, there are less dilute hydrochloric acid particles available to react. So the rate of reaction will be slow. The faster the magnesium powder disappears, the faster the rate of reaction. So again it is correct. So 2 and 4, option C. The reaction between two aqueous compounds X and Y is slow and exothermic. The graph shows how the rate of this reaction changes with time. A student suggests that the rate of reaction decreases with time because the activation energy decreases, the speed of the molecules of X and Y decreases, the concentration of both X and Y decreases with time. Here you can see in the graph comes down, it falls below. In this case, the concentration of both X and Y decreases with time is the correct option, as when the reaction proceeds further, the reactants combine and form the product. So when the product is formed, slowly, the concentration of reactant decreases as it is converted into product, because of which only option D is correct, which is concentration of both X and Y decreases with time. Hydrogen reacts with iodine to form hydrogen iodide. Which statement explains why the reaction is faster when the pressure is increased at constant temperature? At higher pressure, the molecules are moving faster. At higher pressure, more of the molecules have the required activation energy. At higher pressure, the molecules are closer together, which is true. As we increase the pressure, volume decreases, the particles come closer to each other. At higher pressure, the molecules collide more frequently, which is again true. So option D is correct, 3 and 4. Ammonium sulfate is used as a fertilizer. It is made from ammonia and sulfuric acid. The dash is made by the dash process, in which dash is used as a catalyst. Which words complete gaps 1, 2 and 3? So as we are making ammonium sulfate, They have mentioned it is used from ammonia and sulfuric acid. So, the sulfuric acid is made by contact process in which vanadium oxide is used as a catalyst is the correct option. As in other options, the process and the catalyst does not match. The reversible reaction shown takes place in a closed system at constant temperature. When the reaction has reached equilibrium, more T is added. After the addition of T, which other substances increase in concentration? In this case, they have mentioned in the question that the amount of T is increased. That is, the concentration of T is increased here. When we will disturb this reaction or the system, so the product side increases by adding more amount of T, because of which this will unbalance the equilibrium. Now, to maintain the concentration of the reactants, more of the PQR will be made so that the system can again come to an equilibrium. So, only P, Q and R will be made. In which equation is the underlying substance acting as a reducing agent? Reducing agent is the one that gains oxygen from the other compound. Here, the underlined one, 3CO Fe2O3 gives 2Fe plus 3CO2. In this case, carbon monoxide has gained oxygen from iron oxide. CO plus C will give CO2 plus C will give 2CO. CuO plus H2 will give Cu plus H2. In this case, hydrogen has taken oxygen from copper. Hydrogen is acting as the reducing agent, but it is not underlined. CaO plus H2O gives CaOH twice. Again, this is not acting as a reducing agent. So the correct answer is A. An aqueous solution reacts with a solid. The products are an alkaline gas, a salt, and water. What are the aqueous solution and the solid? In the question, they have mentioned that it is an alkaline gas. According to the option, we are having magnesium carbonate and ammonium chloride. In case of magnesium carbonate, the gas produced will be CO2, which is acidic in nature. In case of ammonium chloride, the gas produced will be ammonia. Ammonia is alkaline in nature. So we have options C and D. So the correct option will be sodium hydroxide, as acids do not react with ammonium salts. Butanoic acid partially dissociate an aqueous solution. Which row about butanoic acid is correct? Again, in the question, they have given hint that butanoic acid partially dissociate. It means it is a weak acid. So, it will have a pH 5 because 8 and 10 moves towards alkaline. Effect on thymol-phthalate. So, in case of thymol-phthalate, acids remain colorless. So, option B is correct. Copper 2 sulfate is prepared by adding excess copper to carbonate to sulfuric acid. Why is an excess of copper carbonate added? To ensure all the copper to carbonate has reacted, to ensure all the sulfuric acid has reacted, to increase the rate of reaction, to increase the amount of copper to sulfate produced. During crystallization process, we are adding an excess of the solid part so that all the acid must be reacted properly. So option B is correct. Part of periodic table is shown. Which element has 2 electrons in its outer shell and 3 electron shells? In the question, they have mentioned 2 electrons in outer shell, and in total it is having 3 electronic shells. Now, 2 electrons means it is a part of group 2 and it is having 3 electronic shells. As it is having 3 electronic shells, it means it should be present in period 3. Now, this is period 1, this is period 2, and this is period number 3. Those present in period 2 are having 2 electronic shells. Those present in period 3 are having 3 electronic shells. So, it is having 2 electrons, so in group 2, and 3 shells, so in period number 3. So, the correct is C. Elements in group 1 and group 2 show the same trends in the reactions with water and in the density. Which row shows that the properties of barium compare with calcium, reaction with water, and density? In group 1 elements, as we go down the group, reactivity increases and density increases. In case of group 1, when we go down the group, both reactivity and density increases, because of which, as barium comes below calcium, so its reactivity with water will be faster, and also it will be having high density. So option A is correct. Which pair of compounds shows a transition element in two different oxidation state? Cr2O3 and Cr2SO4 thrice. In this case, we can see chromium has gained 3 oxygen atoms, and here also 3 times SO4 is repeated. So it exists in the same oxidation state. Cu2O and CuCO3. In this case, we can see copper has gained only 1 oxygen in Cu2O. So it is in +1 state, and in case of CuCO3, it has gained 2 CuCO3 compound ions. So it is existing in +2 state. In case of ZnS and ZnSO4, both in sulfide state, and SO4, zinc is in +2 state, which is same. For NiO and NiNO3 twice, again both nickel exist in +2 state. So option B is correct, where copper exists in +1 and +2 state. Which description of brass is correct? Now, brass is an example of alloy. Alloys are mixtures of elements. They are not reacted. They are just mixed. The elements are mixed together. So, brass is an alloy of copper and zinc. What is the symbol of the metal used in the manufacture of aircraft because of its low density? So the correct answer is aluminium. Because of its low density, aluminium is used in manufacturing of aircraft bodies. Which which substance react to form hydrogen gas? Calcium plus water, silver and dilute HCl, magnesium and steam, zinc and dilute HCl. In this case, calcium and water is correct. Silver and dilute HCl do not react. Magnesium and steam is the correct statement, and zinc and HCl forms zinc chloride and hydrogen. So 1, 3 and 4 are correct options. Coke and limestone are the two raw materials used in the extraction of iron from Hematite. Which type of reaction occurs when each substance is heated during this process? When coke is heated, it is a redox reaction. And when limestone is heated, it is a thermal decomposition of limestone. So option B is correct. Some combustion reactions produce pollutant gases. Which reactions produce a pollutant gas that is not present in clean dry air? It is given in bold, that is not present in the clean dry air. So in clean dry air, we have nitrogen, oxygen, noble gases, and carbon dioxide. In this case, we have nitrogen oxides which is not present in clean air, and also carbon monoxide which is not present in clean air. Water, that is moisture, is again present in the air. So 1 and 4, that is B. 1 mole of alkane Y produces 72 dm cube of carbon dioxide when burned in excess oxygen, measured at room temperature and pressure. Here volume of gas is given, which is 72 dm cube. As volume of the alkane is given here, which is 72 dm cube, we will find the number of moles present by using the formula moles is equal to volume upon 24. So we will substitute 72 in place of volume. 72 divided by 24, which will give us 3. So substance containing 3 carbon atoms, which is propane. The structure of organic compound X is shown. What is X? Now, as it is an ester group, C double bond O, O. On the right hand side, we are having only one group, which is methyl. So we have C and D options with methyl. On the other hand, we are having 1 and 2 carbon atoms here. So which is ethane. As it is an ester group, we will name, the ending of the name will be OAte. So it is methyl ethanoate. What is the structural formula of the compound formed in the addition reaction of propene with bromine? When propene is reacted with bromine, the double bond is broken and bromine is added across the double bond. So in all these structures, if we observe, in the first structure, the first carbon atom and second carbon atom is there where bromine is attached. In option B, the first and the last carbon is there where bromine is attached. In this case, double bond cannot exist between first and last carbon atom. So option B is wrong. In option C, they have added only one bromine atom, which is again wrong. For option D, they have added two bromine atoms to the same carbon atom, which is again wrong. So the correct option is option A, where bromine is added across the double bond between the two carbon atoms. Ethanol is produced industrially by fermentation and also by catalytic addition reaction involving steam, which row describes one advantage of each process. As we have to find out the advantage of both the processes, fermentation is where glucose is reacted with yeast. Now glucose and yeast are both renewable sources. So both option A and B are correct. In case of catalytic addition, it is a continuous process. It requires little energy. So continuous process of catalytic addition is an advantage for us. That is why option A is correct. Carboxylic acid react with alcohols when warmed with an acid catalyst. Which type of a substance is formed in this reaction? When carboxylic acid reacts with alcohol, always ester is formed. Nylon is formed by condensation polymerization. Which structure represents nylon? For a condensation reaction, we should have difunctional groups. So, one functional group on both the ends, start and ending of a chain. In this case, in the first structure, one chain or the one box is having two different functional groups on both the ends. So this is not the correct structure. In option B, again, two different functional groups are attached to this box. Also, the link between them is wrong. In option C, this is a difunctional group where same functional group is attached to one box. The link is correct, that is C double bond O NH. So this is the correct structure of nylon. This is known as amide linkage. In option 1 also, it was having the same type of linkage, which is NHC double bond O, but the functional groups present on both the endings of this box are totally different, because of which A is not the correct answer. Which structure represents the repeat unit of addition polymers formed from but1E? Now, as they have mentioned here clearly, but1E. But means it should have 4 carbon atoms. 1E, 1 represents the position of double bond in butene. So, from all the structures, if you observe structure A, here there is double bond between first and second carbon atom. In total, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Total 4 carbon atoms here, and also the double bond becomes single bond between the first 2 carbon atoms. So option A is correct. In option B, even though it is having 4 carbon atoms, but if you observe, if you make it a monomer, you can see that the double bond is between the second and third carbon atom if you number it properly. In case of option C, again it is wrong. And option D, it is the structure of ethane. So it is also wrong. Two grams of powdered calcium carbonate is added to 50 centimeter cube of hydrochloric acid. Which apparatus is used to measure these quantities of calcium carbonate and hydrochloric acid? So 2 grams of powdered calcium carbonate will be measured using a balance. So we have A and B, and hydrochloric acid will be definitely measured using a burette. So it is option A. The diagram shows a chromatogram obtained from the colors of 3 different sweets X, Y, and Z. How many different red dyes are present in these sweets? If you observe properly, sweet X, Y, and Z, for sweet X and Z, the red is at the same position. For sweet Y and Z, the red is at a higher and similar position. So we have only 2 different kinds of reds. So the correct option will be B. A mixture contains sand and an aqueous solution of sodium chloride. Which processes are used to obtain a sample of solid sand and a sample of solid sodium chloride from the mixture? Now, as they have mentioned that it is a mixture of sand and aqueous sodium chloride. Sodium chloride is soluble into water and sand is insoluble. So First of all, we can filter the mixture so that sand is separated, and the remaining one where sodium chloride is dissolved into the water, it can be crystallized out for getting sodium chloride crystals. So option C is correct. A student tests an unknown compound M. The compound produces a lilac flame using flame test, produces a gas which turns lime water cloudy when dilute HCl is added. In this case, as from the lilac flame, it confirms that potassium is present, so option C and D can be correct. From the second part, it produces a gas which turns lime water cloudy, so it is a carbonate. So option D is correct.